The chamber of the Galactic Council had seen many trials, many punishments, but never something like this. It was not just a hall. It was a throne of power where alien rulers believed they controlled the galaxy. Hundreds of delegates filled the seats, their faces glowing under the cold light of hovering lamps. Some had eyes like burning suns, others had mouths full of sharp teeth, and some were nothing more than shifting shadows. They had gathered not to listen, but to watch. At the center stood a human. His name was Ambassador Kale, chosen to be Earth's voice in the council. He was tall but worn from months of imprisonment. His black diplomat's coat was torn, his face scarred, but his back remained straight. Shackles of alien energy locked his wrists and ankles, glowing red-hot against his skin. The Speaker of the Council rose slowly from his crystal throne. His voice cracked across the chamber like thunder. Humanity has defied the will of the stars. Humanity has challenged the laws of unity. And for this, they will pay. This man shall burn, and with him, the pride of Earth. Laughter rolled through the chamber, cruel and echoing. Some delegates clapped, others hissed, and a few slammed their claws on the railing in excitement. Kale lifted his head. His eyes searched the crowd, but not with fear. His gaze was steady, cold, almost like steel. Then he spoke, voice low but clear. You believe this fire will silence us, but all it will do is wake us. The speaker sneered. Empty words. 2 guards, massive reptilian beasts, dragged a machine forward. A towering frame of black stone, shaped like an ancient stake. At its base rested coils of fuel tubes that hissed and spat sparks. The council had chosen fire, the most primitive of executions, to humiliate mankind before all species. Kale was tied to the post, his arms spread wide, his chest rising and falling, but he never looked down. The flames began to flicker at his feet, hungry tongues of fire licking upward. The crowd leaned forward. Some delegates whispered bets on how long he would last. Some children of alien nobles laughed and pointed. The chamber was full of noise, except for Kale. He did not scream. Smoke filled the air, curling toward the ceiling like dark wings. His skin blistered, his body trembled, but his eyes, those human eyes, never left the council. They shone not with fear, but with a silent promise. On Earth, billions of humans were forced to watch. Every channel, every screen, every corner of every city showed the broadcast. Families sat together in silence. Soldiers froze in their barracks. Even children stared wide-eyed, holding their parents' hands. No one could look away. A diplomat was dying, but the council had made a mistake. They had made him a symbol. As the flames rose higher, Kale's voice came one last time through the crackling fire. Hoarse, weak, but unbroken. Humanity remembers. Then the fire swallowed him whole. His body fell into ash, his chains glowing red in the silence. The council's cameras cut to black. In the chamber, applause thundered. Alien leaders congratulated each other, their laughter echoing through the high walls. They believed Earth was broken. They believed fear would keep humans small, obedient, and quiet. But far away, the silence on Earth was not weakness. It was something far more dangerous. In underground command bunkers, generals slammed their fists onto steel tables. Their eyes burned with rage, but their words were quiet. No more patience. In hidden laboratories, sealed doors opened after decades. Scientists who had sworn never to touch forbidden projects once again powered up machines that hummed with deadly light. Ancient blueprints, old weapons, secret technologies, everything was being unlocked. On the streets, people lit candles for Kale. His name was whispered like a prayer. But behind the tears, there was fire in every human heart. One death had united billions. The council thought they had killed a man. They had not. They had lit the fuse of an entire species. Back in the chamber, a few alien delegates looked uneasy. They had seen the look in Kale's eyes before the fire consumed him. It was not the look of a victim. It was the look of a warning. Later that night, in a quiet Earth city, a little boy asked his father, why didn't he scream? The father's voice shook, but his answer was firm. Because he wanted us to be strong. The stars had witnessed a burning meant to crush a race. Instead, they had seen the birth of something the galaxy had feared for centuries. Human wrath. The fire had shocked the stars. But the real fire was only beginning. The night after the broadcast was unlike any other in human history. Cities around the world were lit, but no one celebrated. Streets that were usually filled with noise and laughter were silent. Shops closed early, markets froze, and even the sky above Earth seemed heavy. The whole planet had seen the diplomat, Kale, burned alive. The whole planet had seen the council laugh. The silence was not weakness. It was the silence before thunder. In New Geneva, the capital of the unified Earth government, the president sat in a dark room. No cameras, no advisors, only a single screen replaying Kale's last words. His calm face, his steady eyes, his final whisper, "Humanity remembers." The president clenched her hands so tightly her nails cut into her skin. She did not cry. She did not rage. She only whispered to herself, "They wanted to break us. They have no idea what they've done." Across the oceans, in secret bases hidden under mountains and deserts, generals gathered. Long tables filled with maps of the galaxy glowed under blue lights. Admirals spoke little, their faces like stone. One of them, an old soldier with silver hair, finally broke the silence. For 100 years, they mocked us. They called us primitive, fragile. They burned one of our own to show we were weak. Another general answered, his voice cold. They made a mistake. They showed us the enemy's heart. And now, we show them ours. The decision was not written down. It was not spoken in grand speeches. It spread quietly, like fire through dry grass. Every commander, every soldier, every scientist understood. Earth would not kneel. Earth would rise. Far from command rooms, the streets were burning with a different fire. In villages and cities, people lit candles on windowsills. Old women prayed for Kale's soul. Children drew his face on walls. Farmers stopped their tractors and stood in silence. Miners underground turned off their drills. Heads bowed. Humanity mourned together, not as separate nations, but as one. And then, mourning turned to resolve. On a quiet farm in Montana, a young man dug out his grandfather's old rifle from the cellar. On a busy street in Nairobi, a group of mechanics painted the symbol of Earth on their workshop doors. In Tokyo, university students raised banners that read, "Never again." Across the colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, humans stopped their work. They stared at the stars, and for the first time, they all felt the same thought. We are one people, and we will answer. Meanwhile, in hidden laboratories, doors sealed for centuries began to open. Deep underground in Siberia, scientists powered up engines that had not run in 100 years. In Antarctica, a vault of experimental weapons hummed to life, machines glowing like sleeping beasts waking from a long dream. One scientist, her hands trembling as she typed in forbidden codes, looked at her team and whispered, "They burned our diplomat alive. We will show them fire they cannot control." Even the military fleets, still small compared to the Council's massive armadas, began to shift in secret. Warships that were rusty and forgotten were pulled from storage docks. Newer ships, still under construction, were pushed to completion at terrifying speed. Factories across Earth worked day and night. Every hammer strike, every welding spark was part of the answer that humanity was preparing. But to the galaxy outside, Earth remained silent. No speeches were broadcast. No warnings were sent. The Council laughed again, believing humans had been broken. Some alien leaders even declared Earth would soon beg for mercy. They did not see the truth. The silence was not surrender. The silence was the deep breath before the storm. On the edge of the solar system, a small patrol of alien ships drifted past Pluto. Their sensors picked up nothing unusual. But one young officer swore he saw a shadow move between the stars. Something massive, something cloaked. When he reported it, his captain laughed. Humans don't have ships like that. The report was filed away. No one believed it. But in hidden corners of space, Earth's first fleets were already moving. Silent, invisible, waiting. Back on Earth, in the dead of night, the president finally faced the cameras. Her speech was short. Her face was pale but strong. Her voice carried to every screen, every colony, every ship. People of Earth, you have seen what they did. You know their cruelty. They believe we will break. They are wrong. We do not forget. We do not forgive. We do not kneel. Billions rose to their feet as one. Some cried, some shouted, some saluted. In that moment, Earth was no longer many voices. It was one voice, one heart, one fire. The silence of Earth was ending. The storm was coming. Cliffhanger. In the shadows of the galaxy, alien rulers still laughed at humanity. But soon, they would learn that the silence they mocked was the warning of thunder. And thunder was already on its way. The Galactic Council believed humans would remain silent. Days passed after the execution of Ambassador Kale, and there were no messages from Earth. No fleets charging across the stars. No cries for war. The aliens laughed. In the council chamber, delegates boasted to each other. See, they fear us. Humans are nothing but noisy animals. They will beg for forgiveness before the season ends. The speaker himself declared to the galaxy, "The fire of humanity has been put out." Their silence proves it. But beyond their laughter, something else was happening. Rumors. Merchant ships traveling near human space whispered of strange shadows. Convoys carrying minerals vanished without distress calls. Patrol fleets searched for pirates but found nothing. Some traders swore they saw black shapes gliding silently past their windows. Shapes that moved too fast, too quietly. But when they reported, their commanders mocked them. Humans don't have technology like that. You saw ghosts. The galaxy underestimated humanity because it always had. For centuries, humans had been called the young race, tolerated only as workers, entertainers, or expendable soldiers. They were never seen as equals. Other species looked down on them, calling them fragile, emotional, and weak. The execution of Kale only confirmed the Council's arrogance. They believed Earth was finished. But inside the solar system, Earth was alive like never before. Factories worked without pause, producing ships, weapons, and armor. Colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter built docking yards at record speed. On Earth itself, people volunteered in numbers the government had never imagined. Farmers became soldiers. Miners became engineers. Children grew up overnight. Still, Earth said nothing. That silence confused the galaxy. If humanity was planning something, why were they so quiet? Why were there no public threats? No declarations of revenge? Some alien leaders warned the council to be careful. One elder from the Vayari species whispered during a meeting, "I saw the human's eyes before the fire took him." Those were not the eyes of fear. They were the eyes of a storm. The council ignored him. Meanwhile, in deep space, humanity's secret fleets were taking form. Ships black as midnight, their hulls absorbing light, their engines designed to hide heat signatures. They moved like hunters in the dark, unseen by alien sensors. These were not the grand, decorated ships of the council. These were war machines, built for silence, built for killing. One alien patrol near the edge of human territory was the first to encounter them. The captain, a proud member of a reptilian empire, laughed when his sensors detected a faint distortion. Probably human junk. They can't build ships like ours. But then, the distortion grew. Black shapes slid out of the void, surrounding his patrol. No warning, no signals, just silence. And then, light beams of energy cut through his ships like knives through paper. The patrol vanished within minutes. No survivors, no reports. Only silence returned to the stars. The council dismissed the loss. Pirates, they said. Accidents, they said. Not humans, they insisted. The galaxy underestimated humanity because they wanted to. Admitting the truth that humans had changed was too frightening to accept. On Earth, leaders watched in silence as their fleet struck and disappeared. Every victory was hidden from the galaxy. Every attack a secret message carved into alien pride. Humanity was not rushing into war with speeches or threats. Humanity was waiting, building, and striking when no one expected it. Among the people of Earth, stories spread. Merchants claimed human ships were ghosts, appearing and vanishing like shadows. Soldiers whispered about weapons that could burn entire fleets without warning. Children on Earth drew pictures of Kale surrounded by fire, but in those drawings, the fire did not consume him. It spread across the galaxy. The silence was working. In the council, arguments began to rise. Some demanded a stronger strike against Earth. Others insisted humans were already broken. The council fractured, distracted, blind to the danger growing in the dark. Meanwhile, in a small village on Mars, an old miner told his grandson, "They think we are weak. They think we will kneel forever. But they forget something." The boy asked, "What, grandfather?" The miner pointed to the stars. "They forget we are human, and humans fight hardest when pushed into the fire." The galaxy still laughed. The council still celebrated. But in the silence of the solar system, in the black shadows between stars, humanity was preparing a lesson the galaxy would never forget. The storm was closer than anyone realized. Cliffhanger: when the thunder finally strikes, the galaxy will remember Kale's words. Humanity remembers. The galaxy thought humanity was only whispering in the dark. But in truth, Earth was unlocking doors that had been sealed for centuries. Doors that should never have been opened. Beneath frozen mountains, under oceans, deep in deserts. Vaults that most humans had forgotten were awakened. These vaults held the last secrets of Earth's old wars. Weapons so terrible they were banned even by humanity itself. For decades, they had slept in silence, hidden away because they were too dangerous. Now, they were needed. In a bunker beneath the Himalayas, an old scientist stood before a colossal machine. It was black, silent, and shaped like a spear pointing to the heavens. His trembling hand touched the metal. "We swore never to use this again," he whispered. Another voice, calm but cold, answered, "We swore never to be slaves either." The machine came to life. Its core glowed with blue fire, pulsing like a beating heart. At the same time, across the solar system, fleets were armed with new weapons that no alien had ever seen. Cannons that could bend light, missiles that could split into 100 shadows, bombs that could silence entire cities in seconds. These were not tools of defense. They were instruments of wrath. And yet, Earth said nothing. No threat, no warning. The galaxy still laughed. But then, the first demonstration came. A council fleet of 50 ships patrolled near the mining world of Arion, confident and proud. They carried banners of their power, believing humans would never dare touch them. But in the black of space, something moved. Human ships emerged, silent and invisible. Their weapons did not glow, did not scream. They whispered death. One by one, the alien ships exploded, not with bright fire, but with sudden silence. Their lights snuffed out as if the stars themselves had swallowed them. In less than 5 minutes, the entire fleet was gone. No survivors. No distress calls. The council sent more fleets. They too vanished. Whispers spread across the galaxy. Some said the humans had summoned demons. Others said Earth had broken the laws of physics. Merchants began avoiding human space, terrified of shadows in the void. Soldiers of alien empires refused to patrol near the solar system. Fear was spreading, silent but fast. Still, the council refused to admit the truth. "They are lucky. Nothing more," the speaker insisted. "They cannot stand against us. Their weapons are toys." But deep in their hearts, even the council delegates felt unease. They had seen the reports. Whole fleets gone without a sound. Entire colonies silenced overnight. And every time, the same message appeared, burned into alien systems, written in plain English. "We remember Kale." The wrath of humanity was no longer a whisper. It was a storm. In the colonies of alien races that once laughed at humans, fear turned into rebellion. Ordinary aliens began to ask dangerous questions. If humans can strike the council, why can't we? If they can resist, why can't we? The galaxy was beginning to shift. The council's control was cracking. And behind it all, Earth's forgotten weapons were carving a new order. On Earth, ordinary people continued their lives with new determination. Factories worked day and night. Children studied war history in schools. Soldiers trained in silence. Humanity was no longer just defending itself. Humanity was preparing to rule. In the council chamber, a delegate finally stood and shouted, his voice trembling. "You don't understand. Humans are not playing our game. They are making their own." But no one listened. That night, far from Earth, the humans unleashed a weapon that had not been used in 1,000 years. It was small, no larger than a single satellite, but when activated, it created a wave of silence that swept across an entire star system. Every machine, every engine, every weapon in that system shut down. Ships drifted powerless. Colonies went dark. An entire alien civilization fell silent in less than 1 hour. And then, out of the silence, came the human fleet. They did not attack with words. They did not negotiate. They destroyed the Council's starbase, leaving only wreckage and fear. Across the galaxy, the message was clear. Humanity was no longer the weak race to laugh at. Humanity was the predator the galaxy had forgotten. The wrath of the forgotten weapons had arrived. Cliffhanger. The Council still thought they could control the storm, but humanity had only just begun. The fire of vengeance was spreading, and soon, no world would be safe from it. The galaxy could no longer ignore it. Entire fleets had vanished, colonies had gone silent, and weapons thought impossible were now real. Everywhere, whispers carried the same truth. Humanity was striking back. But humans were not only fighting with weapons. They were fighting with memory. The broadcast of Ambassador Kale's death had been meant to shame Earth. Instead, it became a rallying cry. Every human child knew his face. Every soldier whispered his name before battle. His calm eyes in the fire became a symbol painted on war banners and carved into the sides of human ships. Wherever human fleets appeared, the Council saw those eyes staring back at them. And now, Earth decided to show the galaxy what vengeance truly meant. In a darkened chamber on Earth, the president stood before a camera. No cheering crowd, no grand stage, just her face, pale but strong. The message was short and cold, broadcast to every star system. You burned our voice alive. You laughed at his pain. Now, we speak with fire. We will not stop. Not until the galaxy remembers that humanity cannot be broken. Then the screen went black. Minutes later, the Council capital of Draloth trembled. Its defense fleets were vast, hundreds of ships, each armed with the best weapons of the galaxy. The Council was confident. They will not dare attack our heart, the speaker told his people. But in the black void above Draloth, space began to shimmer. Human ships appeared like ghosts, dozens at first, then hundreds. They were silent, their hulls painted in black steel, their weapons glowing faintly with deadly energy. The alien fleets opened fire immediately. Beams of plasma cut through space, missiles streaked across the stars. But the human ships did not scatter. They moved with calm precision, like hunters closing a trap. Then the wrath came. Beams of light that bent through space, missiles that split into shadows and reappeared behind enemy ships, bombs that silenced entire clusters at once. Every forgotten weapon humanity had unlocked was unleashed. The battle was short, too short. In less than an hour, the Council's proud fleet was gone, reduced to burning wrecks drifting above their own world. The humans had not only won, they had humiliated the Council in front of the galaxy. And before they left, the humans broadcast a final image. The burning of Kale, side by side with the destruction of the Council fleet. The message was clear. Blood for blood. On alien worlds, riots broke out. Citizens shouted in the streets. If the Council cannot even protect themselves, how can they rule us? Humans resist. Why can't we? The vengeance of the fallen was more than war. It was inspiration. The galaxy's chains were shaking. Meanwhile, on Earth and her colonies, the people mourned and celebrated at once. Candles burned for the diplomat who had died, while cheers rose for the fleets that avenged him. Soldiers painted Kale's name on their armor. Civilians sent supplies to the front lines. Every human, no matter how small, became part of the war. But vengeance has its cost. On Mars, families received messages of soldiers who would never return. On Earth, mass graves were dug for those who died in the secret factories. The war demanded sacrifice, and humanity paid it willingly. They whispered the same promise over every coffin. This death will not be forgotten. This death will be avenged. The galaxy, once mocking humanity, now trembled. The Council sent desperate messages to allies, begging for help. Some races still laughed, saying, humans are only strong because of tricks. But others grew silent, afraid, remembering the fire in Kale's eyes. The storm was spreading. On a distant battlefield, A human commander stood on the bridge of his ship, watching another council outpost burn. His officers cheered, but he raised his hand. "This is not victory," he said softly. "This is only justice for the fallen. The true victory will come when the council itself kneels." The words were carried across his fleet, repeated in hushed voices. Soldiers felt it in their bones. The war was not only for Kale. It was for every human insulted, every human enslaved, every human treated as lesser. This was vengeance for centuries of pain. And yet, deep inside Earth's leadership, a question lingered. How far would this vengeance go? Could humanity stop once it began? Or would the fire consume not only the Council but the galaxy itself? The Council, broken but desperate, began to prepare their greatest counterattack. They were afraid now, but fear can also breed cruelty. Plans were being made in secret, plans that would put entire worlds at risk. But for now, the galaxy only saw the truth. Humanity had risen from silence to fire, and their vengeance was unstoppable. Cliffhanger. The Council believed they had seen humanity's fury. They were wrong. The storm had only just begun, and the galaxy's darkest days were still ahead. The galaxy had seen wars before. Empires had risen and fallen, rebellions had burned, and countless battles had scarred the stars. But this was different. This was not just war, it was fear. After the destruction of the Council's fleet above Draloth, messages spread like wildfire. Some were official reports, others were only rumors, but all carried the same story. The humans had destroyed what was thought indestructible. On distant worlds, people whispered to each other in marketplaces. "Did you hear? The humans burned the Council fleet like it was nothing. They don't even warn before they strike. They don't speak, they just kill." Parents told their children to stay indoors, as if even the sky above their worlds was no longer safe. Traders refused to fly near human space. Mercenaries who once laughed at Earth's weakness now hesitated to even say the word human. Fear had become a weapon more powerful than any cannon. In the council chamber, silence hung heavy. The speaker who once mocked humanity now spoke in whispers. His face was pale, his hands shaking as he read the reports. Fleets gone, colonies destroyed, systems silenced. And every time, the same message burned into alien networks. "We remember Kale." Some delegates demanded peace talks. Others shouted for total war. But no one could agree. Fear had divided the council, and unity was gone. Meanwhile, among the ordinary races of the galaxy, something even more dangerous was happening: hope. For centuries, the council had ruled through fear. Worlds were forced to pay tribute, colonies stripped of resources, smaller species treated like slaves. But now, for the first time, the galaxy saw a race that defied the council and survived. If humans could resist, maybe others could too. On the waterworld of Nerith, alien workers painted Kale's face on their walls as a symbol of rebellion. On the desert moon of Thuruk, miners refused to send their ores to the council. In the shadows of space stations, whispers grew louder. Maybe the humans will free us. Humanity had not promised them anything, yet their vengeance was already breaking the chains of others. Back on Earth, leaders understood the power of fear. They knew they had become more than soldiers. They had become legends. The president spoke only once more. A short message carried across the stars. "We are not the prey. We are the storm. Remember that." And then she fell silent again, letting the galaxy's imagination do the rest. But while fear spread among aliens, it also spread among humans themselves. Soldiers returned from the front lines with hollow eyes. Some whispered that the new weapons were too powerful, too unnatural. The forgotten machines humanity had awakened were not only destroying enemies, they were changing the humans who used them. In the colony of Europa, a soldier sat alone, staring at his hands. He had pressed a single button that silenced an entire alien city. No screams, no battles, just silence. He whispered to himself, "Are we still human?" But there was no answer. Even so, the war did not slow. Humanity kept moving, striking, and vanishing. To the galaxy, they seemed unstoppable. The council grew desperate. In their secret meetings, plans were whispered. If humanity could not be broken by fleets, then perhaps they could be broken by terror. Some spoke of using biological weapons, others of burning human colonies to ash. The galaxy's cruelty was preparing to answer humanity's wrath. And yet, the fear did not leave the humans. It only deepened their resolve. On Mars, in a schoolyard, a teacher asked her students what they wanted to be when they grew up. The answers were the same from every child. Soldier, pilot, protector of Earth. The fire of vengeance had become the future of humanity. Still, in the shadows of the galaxy, one truth remained clear. The Council was losing control. Worlds were breaking away. Armies were afraid to march. Fleets hesitated before jumping into human space. And the image of a human diplomat burning alive had turned from a warning into a curse. A curse now chasing the Council itself. The galaxy was no longer laughing at humanity. The galaxy was hiding from them. Cliffhanger. And yet, even as fear spread like fire, humanity was preparing its final step, the Last Judgment. A storm that would not only break the Council, but change the fate of every star. The galaxy had grown quiet. Fleets that once roamed proudly now stayed close to home. Colonies that once bowed to the Council now hid in silence. And everywhere, people whispered the same word. Humans. The fear was complete. But fear alone was not the end. Humanity was preparing something greater, something final. The Last Judgment. Deep in the orbit of Earth, a colossal station floated in the dark, larger than any ship ever built. It looked less like a machine and more like a fortress carved from a star. Within its core, the forgotten weapons of humanity had been fused into a single creation. It had no name, only a purpose: to end the war once and for all. Inside the station's command hall, Earth's president stood before the generals, scientists, and admirals. Her face was tired, but her voice was sharp as steel. The Council believes they can still rise again. They think fear will fade. But tonight, we end their rule. Not with whispers, not with shadows, with judgment. Across the galaxy, the Council leaders gathered on their homeworld of Draloth. They were desperate now, their eyes hollow, their voices broken. Their armies were crippled, their fleets scattered. Still, they clung to power. We must strike back, one delegate cried. We must destroy their colonies, another shouted. But their words carried no strength. Deep down, they knew the truth. Humanity was coming. And then it began. Human fleets entered Draloth space, thousands of ships black as night. The Last Judgment station moved behind them, its core glowing like a newborn star. The galaxy watched in terror as the storm arrived at the very heart of the Council. The Council deployed everything they had left. Battleships rose, cannons fired, skies lit with burning light. But humanity had grown beyond them. Their weapons cut through alien fleets like fire through paper. Missiles split into 100 shadows, beams of energy bent around shields. Bombs silenced whole clusters in seconds. And through it all, the Last Judgment charged. Its core pulsed brighter and brighter, shaking the void itself. On the Council homeworld, civilians screamed as the sky turned black with human ships. Some ran, some prayed, some simply froze. They had lived under the Council's power for generations, but now they saw their rulers helpless for the first time. Inside the Council chamber, panic spread. Delegates shouted, some tried to flee, others collapsed in fear. The speaker, once proud, now trembled as the walls shook from distant explosions. This cannot be the end, he whispered. But no one listened. And then, silence. Human ships stopped firing. The battlefield grew still. Every alien ship that survived froze, unsure what would happen next. From the Last Judgment station, a single message was sent. It appeared on every screen, every device, every channel across the galaxy. The image was simple. The face of Ambassador Kale, calm and steady, as he had looked before the fire took him. Beside him, words appeared. Justice is here. Then the core of the Last Judgment released its power. But it was not fire. It was not destruction. It was light. The wave spread across Draloth, not burning it, but silencing every weapon, every defense, every system. The Council's power was erased in a single breath. Ships drifted powerless. Armies dropped their guns as technology failed. The Council, once mighty, was left helpless, stripped of everything but fear. Human ships surrounded the planet but did not fire again. Instead, Earth's president spoke. Her voice carried to every corner of the galaxy. We are not here to destroy the stars. We are here to end tyranny. The Council's rule is over. The age of fear is finished. From this day, the galaxy will know balance, and it will remember why. Her words struck harder than any weapon. For the first time in history, the Council leaders knelt. The galaxy had witnessed their power destroyed, not by extermination, but by judgment. Across alien worlds, cheers erupted. Races that had suffered under the Council cried in relief. Chains were broken, rebellions began, and hope spread like fire. The humans had not just avenged themselves, they had reshaped the galaxy. But for humanity, the victory was not pride. It was memory. Every soldier, every leader, every child remembered the man who had burned alive. Kale's silence in the flames had become the roar of an entire species. On Earth, people lit candles not for war, but for peace. On Mars, children no longer said they wanted to be soldiers. They said they wanted to be builders, explorers, dreamers. Humanity had shown its wrath, and now it chose its mercy. The galaxy would never forget. Humans had entered history not as prey, not as slaves, but as judges of the stars. The last judgment was complete, cliffhanger ending, and in the quiet that followed, one truth echoed across the universe. Humanity was no longer just part of the galaxy. Humanity was its future.